going to walk through 5 examples of how to do composition of functions when we're using or evaluating with variable expressions. So I'm going to start with the example in the lower left-hand corner. So just as a quick review, I need to start with my f function. And instead of having 2x minus 1, which is my f function, I need to replace that x for whatever's inside my parentheses. In this case, it's 5w. It's not just a single number. The next thing I need to do is just simplify my expression. And I'm left with 10w minus 1. Those two are not like terms. I can't combine them to make it a 9w, so it remains as 10w minus 1. So my next step would be to take that binomial and put it into my g function. And my g function says I need to do 3 times x. In this case, instead of x, I'm going to replace it with that binomial. And once again, I can simplify that. And my final expression would be 30w minus 3. Since I started with a variable, when I evaluate, I still might have that variable within my answer. The upper right-hand example, using the 4k, I am going to start with the h function. So instead of x squared plus 1, I'm going to replace the x with the 4k. And I put parentheses around that because I'm squaring that whole expression. That means when I simplify this, it becomes 16k squared, and then plus 1. The next thing I need to do is take that expression and put it into the f function. So my f function states that I've got to do 2 times x minus 1. So in this case, instead of x, I'm going to use this binomial. And then I still have that minus 1 that's at the end of my f function, so I can't forget about that. So the next step is just to simplify. So I'm going to apply the distributive property. So I get 32k squared plus 2 minus 1. I do have 2 like terms. I can combine those 2 constants at the end. So my final answer would be 32k squared plus 1. And the third example on the screen. I'm dealing with 3 functions. I need to start with the h function, then move to the g, and then last I'm going to do f. So in my h function, I'm going to start there. The h function says I need to square my x. So instead of x, I'm putting in that variable of negative n. If I square that, a negative times a negative is positive, so I have positive n squared plus 1. Next, I need to move to the g function. So I'm just going to show that this needs placed into the g function. The g function says to take 3 times my expression. And once I do the distributive property, I should get 3n squared plus 3. And I have one more function to evaluate this in. So now I need to put that binomial into my f function. And the f function states that I need to do 2 times my variable x, but instead of x, I'm replacing it with the whole expression. And then 1 gets subtracted off. So now if I do the distributive property, and then running out of room here, so my final simplified expression would be 6n squared plus 5. Now the next 2 examples, I'm starting out with binomials to begin with. So I'm going to start in the lower left-hand corner. My g function states I have to do 3 times whatever I'm substituting in for x. So in this case it's 2n plus 3. I'm going to go ahead and distribute that, so I'm left with 6n plus 9. Now I have to apply that to the f function. So my f function states that I have 2x minus 1. So instead of the x, I'm going to replace it with the binomial, put 2 times the quantity, 6n plus 9 minus 1. And then I'm just going to finish that by simplifying. Now in the upper right-hand corner, this one I have to start in my h function. Something I need to be careful of. My h function says that I need to square it and then add 1 on. Be very careful in this case. It's a binomial that's being squared, so you will need to use the FOIL process with this. Because mathematically that means I'm multiplying these two binomials together. Also, don't forget about the plus 1 at the end. I still need to bring that down. So after I FOIL this, well, once I FOIL and combine like terms, I would get m squared minus 4m plus 4. That's just the FOIL part, but I still have this plus 1 that's at the end. So my final expression, once I evaluate, should be m squared minus 4m plus 5. Now that only takes care of the h function. This is just dealing with the h function. Now I need to take that simplified expression and put it back into my g function. And my g function is just 3 times whatever I'm substituting in. So I'm going to make that trinomial 3 times bigger. So my final answer should be 3m squared minus 12m plus 15. Okay, I have 3 examples for you to try out, so just press pause when you're ready to see the answer. You can hit play again. Okay, so here's the 3 expressions you should have gotten. The first one is a numerical value just because you're evaluating in a number 4. The other 2 examples, you should still have variables. I will show you how I had gotten answers for the second 2. I'll just leave my notes. You can play, rewind, whatever you need to for those.